What is up, 2K crew? Yes, it is that time of the week again. It is not only podcast day, but it's Halloween. So happy Halloween, everybody. As you can see, if you're on the YouTube, a little different setup this week. Kyle, Mr. 2K's Kaler, and the Kaler family are out getting their trick-or-treat on. So you are just left with me. But you know what? We got a really cool show planned for you. I know most of you that are subbed or listen to this podcast are either on one side or the other. You're either go green or go blue. So we're going to dive into that game, give you my reaction, give you all the insight that I can give you for that, and we're going to transition into some more NFL, and we're going to talk about the World Series. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's get locked in, because you have found the Turbo and 2K show.
It's the Turbo and 2K show.
All right. Well, let's jump into this, ladies and gentlemen. Well, actually, before we do, if you are watching on YouTube, if you're one of the handful here that are watching live, go ahead and drop me a comment. Go ahead and subscribe. Hit the like button. And like I said, drop a comment. Let's get a conversation started, and I'll actually feature you on the show. And if you guys and gals are on the podcast side of everything, wherever you're consuming your podcast, go ahead and give us a big follow, give us a like, drop a comment, and I will read it here on the air. And if you guys are if you're feeling super saucy, head on over to right here, buyturboabeer.com, buy 2Ks and I a beer, and we will feature you on the show, and we will gladly thank you from the bottom of our hearts, because you will not only be supporting us, you'll be financially supporting the channel as well. So with that being said, wow. If you listened or watched the show last week, pretty much not all of my predictions were wrong. I did take Michigan State in the points. Didn't need the points, obviously, but wow, what just a fury of scoring from two. What I thought going into this were the defenses were further along than the offenses, and I think the longer that game went on, the longer that that's the ESPN alert that I'm actually winning in fantasy football. What are the chances of that? And on top of that, playing one of the guys that are tied for first. So, looking like the worst team in the league, wins and loss wise, is going to take out one of the wins and loss leaders. So, and 2Ks and I had a very long and in-depth conversation about that last night, talking about how I'm pretty much fed up with playing the person who has the highest score of the week. I have the second most points scored and the most points scored against. So if I do hang on, this will be my second win. Doesn't look good when you're the guy that puts the league together and you only have 2 wins. So, but there's an extra week. You're 17 games instead of 16, so we're definitely not out of the woods yet. Definitely not counting myself out of the playoffs, because with the squad I got, I'm very happy with them. But that's neither here nor there. You came here to get my insight and reaction to Michigan State. And if you guys and gals do see me kind of looking off to this direction, I've got the World Series game right here, and I've got the Cowboys-Vikings games right here that I'm going to be keeping an eye on. But I wanted to start the Michigan State talk off with this. And I think this tweet is going to summarize the whole thing, kind of put everything into perspective, and I'm sure this is not going to be something that most Michigan fans will enjoy looking at. But Mr. Brandon Brown, I think he's at BSB_Wolverine. If you guys are looking for him on Twitter, it says, looking over the numbers, I'm dumbfounded. Michigan had 552 yards of offense, won the turnover battle, and possessed the ball for more than 10 minutes longer than MSU, and lost. Jim Harbaugh's formula is antiquated and ineffective against comparable teams. And I think that's everything in a nutshell, ladies and gentlemen. We can just move right on and just get on to the World Series. But lo and behold, he's right. If you look at I'm not going to say every, because I think there's 2 wins in there that Mr. Harbaugh has that has come against top-ranked opponents. I believe one of them has come at the expense of Michigan State. None of them have come at the expense of Ohio State. Now, what we're going to get into here in a little bit is how, with this loss, and a couple other surprising games mixed in there this weekend, how the top 10 has changed. So we will get into that. But I did want to bring up some stats here that kind of blew me away. And if you look back, or if you guys and gals watched last week, I pretty much was on the side of whichever team's quarterback opens it up more is going to win the game. That really wasn't the case, because McNamara went 28 of 44 for 382 yards, 2 touchdowns, and the interception. Michigan State's defense pretty much shut down Haskins and Corum. Haskins had 14 carries for 59 yards. Corum had 13 carries for 45 yards, and McNamara himself had 2 carries for 23 yards. So, as you can see, Michigan State took away pretty much the backbone, the bread and butter, if you will, of the Michigan offense. And I don't think it's even... I think it's safe to say that Cade McNamara played his best game as a Michigan Wolverine, and it came at a very good time. However, they didn't come out on the side that most everyone thought they would. Now, Peyton Thorne went 19 to 30, 196 yards and 2 interceptions. And number 9, probably the biggest storyline out of this whole entire game, Kenneth Walker, 23 carries, 197 yards, and 5 touchdowns. I don't care who you are and who you're playing against, 5 rushing touchdowns. That is impressive. I mean, super impressive. What would even be more impressive is if you were actually able to have him score 3 or more touchdowns on a bet, but I don't think you can do that in college. If you can, let me know which book you're on, because I'd really like to get on that. But aside from that, it was, I mean, when it comes down to brass tacks and apple jacks, ladies and gentlemen, this was one hell of a game. This was one hell of a game. Granted, if you took my advice last week and hammered the under, which I did, not only the under, but I parlayed it with the under for the first half. Yeah, was not a good bet slip. Was not a good bet slip at all. However, once that, because obviously the under got smashed. I think the first drive in the third quarter. So that kind of went out the window. So it's like, all right, I can just sit and enjoy this game. Now, what was, like I said, surprising is I honestly thought this was going to be like a 21-17, 2017, 2014 game, somewhere in there. Just given the fact that neither offense is extremely explosive. Both defenses seem to have their shit together. Well, that really wasn't the case. The defense was both defenses were a little bit more porous than what I thought. I honestly, going into this, didn't know that McNamara had it in him to throw that many yards. And then that running back with 5 rushing touchdowns, I don't think anyone, not even Mel Tucker himself, probably had that in the scorebook for Saturday. So, all around surprising game, but a very good game. I mean, classic Michigan State rivalry game, head-to-head, just came down to pretty much the final play of the game. And when you get any type of game like that, and no matter what side you're on, it's always very, very exciting. Very exciting. I would much rather have a game like that than a absolute blowout, especially if you're on the other end of it. And so I was extremely, extremely happy, even though I really didn't have a dog in the fight. But do have a comment here from Winston Stevenson. Harbaugh's to blame. Michigan was the better team. He just got out-coached in my mind. It's hard to argue with that, my friend. It's very hard to argue that. And Winston, our dear friend, Mr. Kyler, I think moments after the game said that he was asking for Harbaugh to be fired before he got on the bus. And I'm sure that he's not the only one that feels that way. And for the amount of money they're paying him and how much scrutiny he's been under pretty much his whole entire career at Michigan, I'm always curious to see, like, is he wearing out his welcome? Even though he averages, I want to say he averages 10 wins a year, he's not winning the big ones, ladies and gentlemen. He's not. And the same can be said for Coach Kelly at Notre Dame. However, with Kelly and Notre Dame, they've made it past. They've at least gotten into the playoffs. They've been ranked number 1 overall in the country under Coach Kelly. Harbaugh hasn't even won the Big Ten, or even the east side of the Big Ten. So, and I always counter this comment or argument, and it's like, who do you get to replace him? And we've talked at great length about that on this very show. Winston says facts. It's hard to argue that. And when does his welcome get old? Everyone said, all right, well, he needs to get his players in there. He's got to get his players in there. I think he's on his 9th year, something like that. Winston says he's got to win against OSU or he's in trouble. Well, Winston, I tell you what, if the same defense that plays that plays OSU is the same one that played Saturday, this is going to be an OSU dog walk. That Ohio State offense is much better than the Michigan State offense. The defense, on the other hand, that's going to be where it's going to get kind of tricky. Does Ohio State have their defense kind of mended up going into that game? I would really like to see what that line is right now, because I would totally hammer Ohio State no matter what the spread is. And that's not me being a Michigan hater. It's not me being a hater. That's me being realistic. The only thing that's going to save them is if McNamara has a game like he did Saturday against Ohio State. Now, mind you, keep in mind, between the time that Michigan and Ohio State play, Michigan State and Ohio State have to play. Which leads me to this. Hold on here. I got to sneeze. Okay, now it's gone. Weird. But the AP announced their top 25. Obviously, I did the abridged version here, just the 1 through 10, just so I can fit it all on one screen. The top two, Georgia and Cincinnati. Nothing's changed there. Alabama slides up to 3, Oklahoma 4. And another big shout out to Kyler. He's the one that said, well, the winner of the Michigan and Michigan State game should jump Ohio State. Here you go, Kyler, right here. Bada bing, bada boom. Bada bing, bada boom. Michigan State comes in at 5, Ohio State 6, Oregon 7, Notre Dame slides up to 8, Michigan drops to 9. And kind of completely under the radar, Wake Forest slides up to 10. So, just looking at this slide here, ladies and gentlemen, like I said, Michigan State and Ohio State have to play. Michigan and Ohio State have to play. So at the end of the season, this top 10 is going to be completely different. Now, do I think 1 through 4 are pretty much going to stay there? For the most part. Georgia and Alabama still have to play in the SEC title game. I mean, barring any wild circumstances. But man, I not to go off on a tangent here, but I was watching the Georgia-Florida game yesterday. I think it was 0-0 going into the second quarter, which was a game that I hammered the over on. I'm like, okay. No, I took Georgia in the points. So I want to say the spread was 24, if not 21 or 24, somewhere in there. I'm like, all right, well this isn't looking good. So laying on the couch, kind of drifted off a little bit, woke up like 5 minutes later, and it's 24-0. I'm like, holy shit, what the hell happened? But yeah, that was ended up being pretty much what we thought it was going to be. Winston says, me too. I'm guessing it'd be OSU minus 15, at least. The only thing that would change my mind on that if there was some injuries between now and then, which you never want to see. But yeah, I realistically, yes. I that line is probably right in the ballpark, and if that does end up being the line, give me Ohio State. I'll give the points. I'll give the points in a heartbeat. But yeah, just kind of looking at this graphic here again. Now, my Irish are going to be on the outside looking into the top 4. They've already had the loss, albeit to the number 2 team, Cincinnati. We all know Cincinnati's going to be kind of that wild card, with their strength of schedule being what it is. Are they going to stay there? Of course, they have to go. They have to go undefeated. Are they going to stay there? If they don't, could we see now? What's really going to be weird is that, let's say Michigan State goes undefeated and beats Ohio State, wins the Big Ten. These top 4 teams stay the same. Does Michigan State jump into the top 4? Or if Ohio State wins out, do they jump into that top 4? In my eyes, yes. Yes, they would have to, because Ohio State lost to Oregon. Bama lost to an A&M team, I believe, that wasn't even in the top 25. So, and And even if Bama beats Georgia, I don't know. I still think the strength of schedule has to work that out, and we might, if Michigan State goes undefeated or Ohio State wins the Big Ten, in my eyes, either one of those teams should be in the top 4, just based on. Yes, I know Cincinnati's undefeated. Who have they played? And I'm including my Irish in that because I with this list right here, I don't think Notre Dame can beat any team that's ahead of them. I really don't. If they squared off with Michigan next week, I'm not so sure how that game would go. Do they belong at number 8? Realistically, no. But there's still plenty of season, ladies and gentlemen. That's one of the cool parts about college football. I almost say college basketball. That's one of the cool parts about college football. And kind of to wrap up the Michigan State breakdown or reaction, I think one of the things that the Big Ten really needs to do is reshuffle these divisions. I know that's probably an overreaction because it's the ebbs and flows of college football. I get that. But when the top 4 teams in the Big Ten are on the east side, and the west side's a walk. It's just a walk. And then we don't see the 2 best teams in the Big Ten usually ever play each other unless it's during the regular season and not for the Big Ten title. So for any of you 2K crew that have some connections with the Big Ten head office, send them my way. Because I would love to give my 2 cents to that. I would love to. I would love to, because it's with the depth that this conference has. You should find a way to have at least 2 of the top 4 teams play each other in the Big Ten title game, and not the number 1 and like the number 6 or number 7 or even number 5. It's just kind of ridiculous. But anyways, I got to hear what Winston has to say about the game. What are your thoughts? On the game? If you guys are watching the replay or watching live, go ahead and drop me a comment. What are your reactions? I know I did see on social media a lot of the Michigan faithful kind of bitching at the referees, which some calls, yes, I back you up on that. I don't think it was any home cooking, if you want to think about it that way, just because it was in East Lansing. I don't think that at all. They're Big Ten officials. Do they quote unquote have it out for Harbaugh? I don't think so. At all. I don't. But yes, did some of the calls tend to lean towards the Michigan State side? They did. And you have a fair gripe. I'll give you that. But did it ultimately decide the outcome of the game? I don't think so. And I've like I said, 2Ks and I were talking about this last night. He was obviously kind of upset at the result, which if I was a Michigan fan, I would too. It's a rivalry game. You always want to, if you're a fan of your team, you want to see them win every week. But like I said, once I started this segment, at the end of the day, it was a hell of a game. Hell of a game between 2 very similar teams. However, we saw, like the graphic, like the stats I showed, Michigan opened up the passing game, and that his name escapes me. That number 1 kid. Oh my God, he's gonna be something. That kid, yes, big fan of his. That Michigan defense, I think, is better than Michigan State's defense. Where was it? I don't know. But yeah, it's and yeah, Winston says KW3 for Heisman, over 200 all-purpose yards, 5 touchdowns. I tell you what, this is another thing that 2Ks and I were talking about last night. Is this obviously has to put him into the conversation. Obviously, I mean, that was one hell of a performance. And I think what's going to benefit him a lot, Winston, is there really isn't any quarterback that's showing out. There isn't. We look at Spencer Rattler, who was pretty much the front runner last year, or coming into this year, excuse me, he doesn't even start for Oklahoma anymore. DJ from Clemson, horrible year. Kid from Alabama's kind of under the radar. Kid from Ohio State, kind of the same thing. They're really in this. It's not just recently, but I guarantee you, if you look at all of the Heisman winners, the vast majority of them are quarterbacks just because they handle the ball every single game. Quarterback is the most important position on the field. So yes, 9 times out of 10, it probably is going to be a quarterback. But we saw last year a wide receiver win it. So does he have a chance? Absolutely. Should he be in the conversation? 100%. Will he win it? If you're giving the award today, you kind of have to. You kind of have to, because like I said, there really isn't any quarterback that's balling out, setting himself apart from anybody else. So yeah, I definitely, Winston, I have to agree with you here, my friend. I have to. And if he doesn't win it, he definitely has to be in the conversation and should be taking that trip to New York. 100%. 150%. 150%. Excuse me. I guess I'm actually not allergic to 2Ks because I'm coughing even when he's not here. Ladies and gentlemen, let's segue into the World Series. Currently, it is the bottom of the first. I believe this is Game 5. Yeah, Game 5. Atlanta has the bases loaded, 2 outs, and they just walked Eddie Rosario. And give you kind of an update on the score for the Cowboys game. Dak is out. Some kid named Rush is playing. I've never even heard of him, but he does have the full complement of weapons on the Cowboys side. So we'll see what he does. But we went through this last year with when Dak went out, and we kind of saw how horrible they were. But that was a different defense. And they're currently down 7-0 to Minnesota. Just kind of give you an update. But more importantly, the World Series. If you guys and gals remember back, holy shit, did he get it? Go ball. Grand slam. Adam Duvall. Yes, on the board first, 4-0, bottom of the first. And if you guys don't know, what's really cool about Adam Duvall is, and it's something that's hit very personally with me, and I know we're kind of going off topic. Actually, we're not. We're talking about the World Series. A few months ago, in April, I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and Mr. Duvall himself is a type 1 diabetic, as well as Mark Edwards for the tight end for the Ravens, which is kind of cool. So definitely a big fan of his and Mark Edwards, just because we share a common bond. Pretty cool. But yeah, Winston, here we go. This is Grand Slam Duvall. Fuck yeah, let's go. And it says Astros are done. Dude, it's not a secret how much 2Ks and I dislike I'm going to say it, hate the Astros. We were watching the end of the game last night, and what a catch by Eddie Rosario. I thought that beat him. Kyle thought it was gone off the bat. I mean, what a play. What a play to save the game. And the only bummer is, if they do win it tonight, is I picked them to win in 6. So I got half of it right. But I'm pretty sure it'd be hard to convince the bookie to pay me anything out on that. But that's okay. I'll gladly give up my my little wager for the Braves to bring another one home, for sure. And I mean, if tonight is the night, is this the last game that this crew will be together? Which we've talked about before. I 125% agree that this team, they're still going to have some of the guys, but you're going to see more and more of these pieces of the Astros go elsewhere. I mean, George Springer's already gone. Charlie Morton was one of those guys. Chucky Ballgame beat him game 1, which for them to come through without him, and it's already been documented. 2Ks and I have talked to them about it. Without pretty much one of the faces of baseball and Acuna. So Winston says, me and Kyler are right there with you guys, bro. 100%. Can't stand the Astros. Can't stand. And just to add salt to the wound, they beat my Red Sox to get here. So, if the Red Sox did win, I'd be kind of in a pickle. I would definitely be rooting for the Red Sox. However, my second favorite team is the Braves, just because TBS. We grew up. That was, if you had cable, you're guaranteed to watch a Braves game usually every night of the summer. So why the hell not? Why the hell not? And with a pitching staff like that in those teams, they had to be one of those teams. Either you loved them or you absolutely hated them because they're on TV constantly, and they just weren't your team. Or say you were a Mets fan back then, and those Braves teams, especially once Chipper Jones got in the mix, those Braves teams owned the Mets, owned them for years. So yeah, and what I find shocking the most about how this series has played out thus far is the bullpen of Atlanta being used as much as they have. Still going strong, still getting these Astros hitters out. And this Astros offense was, if not the best, all year this year. And the more you see a pitcher, the more you're going to time him, get used to his tendencies, and just become more comfortable at the plate the more you see somebody. And for Snedeker to keep rolling these guys out and then being able to get outs is... Hell, the other day they won a game I believe it was 2-0. Didn't give up a hit until they gave up 2 hits. 2 hits in the whole game. And for them to back that up with a bullpen game yesterday, a bullpen game today, it blows my mind. It blows my mind. And how can you not rally around a team like this? Even if you're not an avid baseball fan, I guarantee if you're a sports fan, period, you know what happened with the Astros. You know what transcended. And still, the thing that chaps my ass the most is the players themselves never got disciplined. Never. However, if you threw at them, you would be disciplined, which I think is outrageous. So, and the guy at the plate right now, Yordan Alvarez, it is key to keep him cold. He's batting .091 for this series. You got to keep him cold. And looks like they're going to do that. Fly ball to the left. Yeah, here we go, Atlanta. Here we go. This is the only part that really scares me is that a lot of these guys just haven't been there, whereas a lot of the Astros guys have. That's what scares me about this team right now. And I posted on the 2K crew group, oh, well, when's the last time an Atlanta team fucked up a league or lead in a championship series? It's happened a lot. So do I think this team will? No. I do. To me, if they are going to get the job done, they need to get it done tonight. Get it done at home. Get it done in front of that faithful. Get it done. Don't wait around. Look what the Red Sox were up 2-0. That was it. Once they caught fire, they were hot. Granted, the Red Sox pitching staff is a whole lot different than this Braves pitching staff, so looks like they so far they've kind of had the upper hand here. So aside from the one game, but yeah, come on, Bravos, let's get it done tonight for hot Atlanta. And if you are living in Atlanta and if you are a Braves fan, could you imagine what a party Ludacris would just roll out? Oh my God, roll out, roll out. That would be just to be a fly on the wall at that party. Oh my God, that would be amazing. Let's talk. And yes, I'm retracting my bet with you guys. I can't retract it on the sports book, but even with the four run lead, I took Atlanta tonight. So I totally contradicted my futures bet, but you know what? It is what it is. Let's get it done tonight. Let's talk some football, ladies and gentlemen. Talk some football. I believe it's week 8 already, which is crazy. It's crazy. Let's look at some scores. There was some shocking games today, ladies and gentlemen. Shocking games. The first one up is 49ers at the Bears. And ladies and gentlemen, the Bears were winning this game for all but the fourth quarter. And then, ended up losing 33-22. I believe Justin Fields did reach over 100 yards, and it was the first time a Chicago quarterback had done that since like 1974 or some shit. So Garoppolo went 17 for 28, 322. Mitchell had 18 carries, 137 yards, and a tud. And Deebo Samuel balling out 6 carries, 6 receptions for 171 yards. I'm pretty sure everyone was on the betting side of the 49ers on this one. If you weren't, you probably live in Chicago. I'm a Bears fan. I did not go the Bears way on that one at all. We got the Cowboys Vikings going right now. Panthers Falcons, man, what a clash of two shitty teams. 19-13 Panthers win. What is the deal with this Falcons team? I want to jump on board with them. I do like Matt Ryan. I obviously love Kyle Pitts. I think what it comes down to is right now they do not have a run game. They do not have obviously Calvin Ridley was out today for personal reasons. T's and P's to him. Let's hope he gets everything straightened out because, man, that dude is a baller. And not much more to talk about on that one. And hopefully for the Panthers, sooner rather than later, they do get Christian McCaffrey back because if you're a football fan, you have to love what that kid does. You really do. So hopefully he gets back sooner rather than later. Another shocking game was Dolphins at the Bills. I mean, it was going into half tied 3-3. And it wasn't until the fourth quarter where the Bills kind of opened it up. It would look like their game really didn't travel with them from Buffalo. So kind of a scary game there. Let's see what the stats are here. Box score. Here we go. Tua went 21 for 39, 205 yards and a pick. Allen went 29 of 42, 249 and 2 touchdowns. Myles Gaskins, 12 carries, 36 yards. Josh Allen led the game in rushing, 8 carries for 55 yards, which doesn't shock me considering Buffalo does not run the ball hardly at all. Let's see, 23 carries combined between Allen, Singletary, and Moss. You look at the flip side, Gaskins, Ahmed, and two of them had 12, 19, 23 carries. Cole Beasley balled out, 10 catches for 110 yards. Stephon Diggs got in the end zone yet again. Devontae Parker had 8 catches for 85 yards. So, let's see, what was it? Had to get a touchdown somewhere. Where the hell did it come from? Was it defense? Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, like I said, not a lot of scoring, kind of a boring game, but I think if you are a Buffalo fan, you would say years previous they probably would have lost that game. So good for them for coming back. Good for them bringing it home. Steelers Browns. Steelers in Cleveland. Another boring ass game. 15-10. Steelers win this one. Kind of the story of the game was Chris Boswell on the fake field goal rolls out, gets schmucked. He fucking schmucked. And I did hear, I want to say it was Mike Tirico one of the guys talking about it before I went live, said that had this been a quarterback, it would have been a roughing the passer. Now, obviously, Chris Boswell's a kicker, but when he assumes that position, he should get all the same all the same rules as a normal quarterback. So why that wasn't called, I don't know. But the Steelers did have to go through pretty much the whole second half, and the whole second half and some of the second quarter without a kicker. They went for 2 all the time. And man, their punter is a beast. That dude is huge. I mean, he looks like he could be a linebacker as well as the punter. So good to see they overcame some adversity. Big Ben still looks like a statue back there. So we'll see where that goes moving forward. Do we even need to talk about the Lions and the Eagles? Do we really? This was a game of 2 extremely shitty teams. And one of the shitty teams showed up. The other one just stayed in the locker room. This was fucking blowouts. 44-16. 44-16. Or to 6, excuse me. Look at some numbers on this. Jalen Hurts went 9 for 14 for 103 yards. Cool. He also had 7 carries for 71 rushing yards. That's awesome. Jared Goff 25-34, 222 yards. Yet again, another game. I think this is 3 games straight where Goff has not thrown a touchdown. And all of you Lions fans kept blaming Matthew Stafford for how shitty that team is. Shame on you. Shame on you, because we'll get to his game here in a little bit. We got looks like Houston's trying to rally back. It's 4-1 now. And I guess the good part about a bullpen game is you kind of have a short leash. So would be expecting Mr. Snedeker to go get a pitching change going here. Go get a pitching change. I think they have 1 out, guys on second and third, or first and second. I can't remember. But yeah, what just a horrible game. DeAndre Swift had 12 carries for 27 yards. What the fuck? And Philly had 4 rushing touchdowns, 2 from Boston Scott, 2 from Jordan Howard. Just a horrible game all around. Horrible. And with 2 of the most chuckleheaded teams in the NFL, at least head coach wise. So Mr. Sirianni and MCDC. There's some folks talking on the internet. Well, with MCDC, do you fire him? I say no. I don't think he's a horrible coach. His team just fucking sucks. You really can't. There really is no way to sugarcoat it. His team sucks. His team's young. Quarterback blows. You just traded out the best player. What do you expect? Kind of a nail biter here, ladies and gentlemen. Kind of a nail biter. The Titans at Colts, 34-31 into overtime. This is not what I wanted. The game goes into overtime. I mean, has Carson Wentz really found a home? Has he found a home? Has he found a team? Tannehill goes 23-33 for 265, 3 touchdowns and 2 picks. Carson Wentz has a very similar line, 27 of 51. Obviously, they threw the ball a lot more. 231 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. So, Derrick Henry had 28 carries for 68 yards. So the Colts rushing defense obviously were able to keep King Henry under 1,000 yards and under 100 yards, and we're able to keep him out of the end zone, which is usually if you do that, you're going to win this game. And Jonathan Taylor had 16 carries, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Pretty much the player of the game in this T.Y. Hilton went out with concussion-like symptoms, so T's and P's to him. Hopefully he gets cleared and is able to play next week. But in his absence, Michael Pittman Jr., I think we are seeing the next star receiver being born right in front of our eyes, ladies and gentlemen. 10 catches, 86 yards, 2 touchdowns. Dude is a beast. And if you're a fantasy player and followed any advice, taking that dude. And why is this fucking mute? I did not ask for you to play. I was wondering where the hell that sound was coming from. On the flip side, AJ Brown, and this was another game without. Will you stop? Without Julio Jones. AJ Brown has 10 catches, 155 yards, and a tud. And Derrick Henry has a very, very out of character fumble. Out of character fumbles. Yeah, hell of a game. Tennessee is taking that next step towards being the elite down there in the AFC South. But I think we're seeing a Colts team that is becoming more and more pesky, more and more legit every week. And yeah, I think Carson Wentz is getting back to form. I really do. And it's kind of cool to see. Probably the biggest shock of the weekend, ladies and gentlemen. Bengals go into New York and face the Jets and lose 31-34. 31-34. And this game did not have Zach Wilson. But the Jets said, "Oh, so what? We got this guy named Mike Johnson, excuse me, I mixed it too. Mike White, not Josh Johnson. Mike White sitting on our bench. Let's throw this kid in here. Goes 37 of 45 for 405 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. First ever career start. I'm gonna click on his name and get a little bit more about him. It's not gonna tell me. Okay, I was hoping that would take me kind of like a Wikipedia of him, but nope. Oh, here we go. Western Kentucky. Went to Western Kentucky. Yeah, drafted in 2018, 5th round pick, 171st pick of the Cowboys. So Mike White, big shout out to you, my friend. Way to ball out. Way to beat a legit team. Some people have said that this Bengals team could be one of the best teams in the AFC, if not the best team in the AFC. And they go to New York, lay a fucking egg. Joe Burrow goes 21 of 34, 253 yards, 3 touchdown passes, and 1 pick. Not a horrible line. But Joe Mixon, 14 carries, 33 yards, and a touchdown. Michael Carter, excuse me. Sorry about that. Hold on. Michael Carter has 15 carries, 77 yards, and a touchdown. T. Higgins led the way for receiving, 4 catches, 97 yards. Tyler Boyd and Joe Mixon both had a receiving touchdown. Oh, excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. And again, Michael Carter, 9 catches, 95 yards. Ty Johnson had a touchdown, as well as Tyler Kroft. So, big shout out to the Jets fans. I'm sure Gary V is absolutely fucking ecstatic. His team not only got a win, but got a win over a legit team. So, and I know Lions fans, I said we'd talk about it. The Rams go down to the Texans and shut this Texans team out until the fourth quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, they hung 22 points. Rams get the victory 38-22. Let's look at the stats here on this one. Maybe. 1, 2, 3, go. Here we go. Stafford goes 21 of 32, 305 yards, 3 touchdowns. Davis Mills goes 29 of 38, 310 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Darrell Henderson, 14 carries, 90 yards, and a touchdown. Robert Woods also had a rushing touchdown. Leading the way for Houston's rushing was Rex Burkhead. Did not even know he was still in the league. 4 carries, 21 yards. Obviously, that is a team had 14 carries for 44 yards. You're not going to win games like that. Cooper Kupp has another Cooper Kupp game. 7 catches, 115 yards, and a touchdown. Robert Woods not only had a rushing touchdown, but a receiving touchdown. And so, yeah, this was one of those games that I want to say was 16-0. It seemed like before the Texans even got the ball. I know it's not the case, but that's just what it seemed like. And let's see here. Patriots go into the Chargers, win 27-24. Let's check the score here. Mac Jones goes 18 for 35, 218 yards. Justin Herbert, 18 for 35. That's kind of weird. They had the same amount of pass numbers, same amount of pass attempts, same amount of completions. He goes for 223, 2 touchdowns, and 2 costly interceptions. Was good to see Austin Eckler back out on the field. I know he was questionable going into this game. He had 11 carries, 64 yards, and a touchdown. Justin Jackson, yardage-wise, had 3 carries, 79 yards to lead the way. Damian Harris over in New England had 23 rushes, 80 yards, and a touchdown. Nelson Aguilar had 3 catches, 68 yards. Keenan Allen has a Keenan Allen game, six catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown. Did not see this one coming. But I think it just goes to show you. You get Belichick a legit quarterback, and he can win some games. And I know there's a lot of folks that were not happy with my criticism of Cam Newton last year, but when you only complete 7 passes and don't throw for over 100 yards in multiple games in a season, and you're a professional quarterback, you can't have that. Broncos win a close one, 17-10 against the Washington football team. Don't really need to dive really too far into that one. Another big shocker. The Bucs go down to New Orleans. And TB12 suffers his second loss of the season. And the shocker in this one, ladies and gentlemen, was getting back to that. My apologies. Give me 1 second here. I believe it was the second quarter. We saw Jameis Winston be taken off with turned out to be a knee injury, and he went 6 for 10 for 56 yards and a touchdown. And Trevor Siemian, the pride of Northwestern, ladies and gentlemen, comes in and goes 16 for 29, 159 yards and a touchdown. Tom Brady, 28 for 40, 375 yards, 4 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The turnovers are what killed Tampa here today, ladies and gentlemen. And again, not a lot of rushing yards. As a team, they had 14 carries for 71 yards. And Alvin Kamara himself had 19 carries for 61 yards. Jameis, before he exited, had 4 carries for 40 yards. As a team, 32 carries, 152 yards. And just a plethora of receivers got targeted for both teams, actually. So, and each team lost. Well, Tom Brady had a fumble again. Turnovers were the key in this one. And when's the last time you saw TB12 lose to a backup quarterback? I would love to see those stats. Because it doesn't happen that often. And on top of that, didn't even know he was still in the league. So, big shout out to you, Mr. Simeon. Start the week off, ladies and gentlemen. Totally forgot about this one. Packers going to Arizona and steal a victory away from Kyler Murray in that wagon that is the Cardinals, handing them their first loss. And does this make the Packers the best team in the NFC? You kind of have to give them the nod. Let's check the box score on this one real quick to wrap it up. Rodgers goes 22 of 37 for 184 yards and 2 touchdowns. Kyler goes 22 of 33 for 274 and 2 interceptions. Very, not a very clean game from Kyler, especially keeping Kyler out of the end zone. So that was key. We saw the resurgence of A.J. Dillon. Him and Aaron Jones carried the ball for 31 yards. And well over 120 yards. Aaron Jones did make it into the end zone. And as a team, Arizona rushed 20 times for 74 yards, however, had 3 touchdowns. James Conner had 2 very short touchdown carries in that game. Aaron Jones led the Packers in receptions. This one was even more shocking, ladies and gentlemen, considering the weapons that Aaron Rodgers did not have at his disposal. Didn't have his top 3 receivers. Didn't have the top 3. And when you got names like Devontae Adams out, you kind of expect I expected him to run the ball more, but getting the ball to Aaron Jones out of the backfield is like an extension of the running game, so that really didn't surprise me. I figured we would see a lot of him. Having A.J. Dillon come and spell him and kind of give that more of a battering ram type of guy, even though that's kind of Aaron Jones's game as well. But they complement each other very well. Big, huge win for the Packers to kind of help solidify their standing in the NFC, as well as just getting that, Getting that Saints loss away from him. Week 1, that was horrible. Horrible. I don't think I've ever seen Rodgers play that badly. And for him to kind of flip the script, 180, here we go. Completely awesome. Completely awesome. And yes, that's coming as a Bears fan, but someone drafted Rodgers on his fantasy team, and he's let me down week one. But other than that, been very, very happy with his performance, and I'm sure every Packers fan would agree. So, like I said, let's not get into fantasy football again. All right. Let's wrap this motherfucker up. What do y'all say? Big shout out to Winston. Thanks for chatting with me here, brother. I know these solo podcasts usually aren't the best way to do things. It's usually better when 2Ks and I are in here bouncing shit off each other, and help keep you a little bit more entertained. But as we've said it in the past, ladies and gentlemen, this is a Turbo and 2K show. We play hurt. I'm sure 2Ks is in a candy coma about now, or is probably trying to get his kids into a candy coma from all the sugar. So big shout out to 2Ks, Mrs. 2Ks, and the kids. Hope you guys had a great Halloween. And again, those of you who are watching or listening on the replay, go ahead and give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a follow, give us all that good stuff. Show us that you love us, because we love you. We love you, and we appreciate each and every one of you for listening. And again, if you guys are feeling extremely saucy, buy turboabeer.com, buy us a beer, help financially support the channel, and not keep us doing, because we'll probably do it anyway. But it's more fun when we get some interaction, and just it's kind of a cool feeling though that what we do, people do like listening to, or watching in this case. But ladies and gentlemen, I will get you out on this. Everyone have a fantastic week. I think we'll do next week. We'll do the first official Turbo and 2Ks. I'll do mine. 2Ks will do his. So 2Ks, if you're listening, you have some homework. We're going to do our top 10 Turbo and 2Ks power rankings of the NFL teams. So hope to see you back next week. Have a great week. And as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.